Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the passé composé with avoir, more specifically with just ER verbs. So what is the passé composé? So in French, there are many different ways of forming the past tense, and the passé composé, which just means past tense in French, it's one of the most important tenses in the French language, and whenever you speak, at some point, you're going to be using it. So some examples in English would be one, I ate my lunch. I have worked for 8 hours today. And three, I did my homework. And although these three sentences are worded differently, they would all be used in French as a passé composé. So when to use, you're gonna have three main reasons for using the passé composé, and they're all gonna revolve around this concept of completed actions. So for example, I finished the pizza. So that's something that has already been done. And that's gonna be the same case for repeated actions. So I worked 5 days this week, and again, for a series of actions, which would be I finished my homework, then I went out with my friends. So how to conjugate. There are two main parts to conjugate with the passé composé. So the first part is going to be the conjugated helping verb, and in this case, we're going to be using just avoir. And then there's the past participle, which you will learn to conjugate, which is quite simple. So again, more with how to conjugate. So the first part would be to start with your conjugated helping verb, avoir. And here are all the different conjugations depending on the subject. And you're pretty much just going to have to memorize this. So for je, you're going to have j'ai, tu as, il a, or elle a, nous avons, vous avez. And then the plural form would be ils ont and elles ont. And so there are three main steps to form the past participle. So you're going to start off with the infinitive verb. Step two, you're going to take off the ER ending of that verb. And finally, you're going to add a new ending, which is just E with an accent on top. So the first example is going to be manger, which is just to eat in French. So you're going to start off with the infinitive verb, manger, and then you're going to take off the ER ending. So that is right over here. And then you're going to add the new ending, the E with the accent, which is just manger, so same pronunciation as the infinitive. And finally, don't forget the helping verb. So you have j'ai mangé, tu as mangé, elle a mangé, nous avons mangé, vous avez mangé, and ils ont mangé. And an example in a sentence would be il a mangé son petit déjeuner. He ate his breakfast. Example two, we're going to use donner, which means to give in French. So you're going to start off with the infinitive verb again, and then take off the ER ending, and then finally add the new ending with the E in red over here. And again, don't forget to use your helping verb. So you're going to have j'ai donné, tu as donné, elle a donné, nous avons donné, vous avez donné. And lastly, ils ont donné. And an example sentence would be j'ai donné un cadeau à ma sœur, which means I gave a gift to my sister. And so some notes to keep in mind. So in French, there are always exceptions to every rule, pretty much. And so you can also use this verb over here, which is être, which means to be. So you can use that as a helping verb, but avoir is much more common. And it gets a little complicated as to when you would be using être. And there are also other endings besides ER verbs. So you have what are called IR verbs and RE verbs. And lastly, some verbs also have irregular endings. These get a little bit complicated as well, so you're just going to have to kind of memorize that. So anyway, that ends this lesson about how to conjugate the passé composé using just ER verbs.